Yeah, hello, welcome to this video. Round 4 of the London Candidates Tournament. After one day off on Monday, they are back playing the 4th round. Aronian is leading before this round with +2, followed by Swidler and Carlsen with +1. So let's see what happens today. Swidler playing black against Aronian. And that's a surprise. Swidler going for the Queen's Gambit accepted, and on top of all of that, he's playing a6, which is a sideline. It's really an old move introduced by world champion Aronian. I'm trying hard to pronounce that. And a real surprise, as mentioned, Swidler is not a regular practitioner of the Queen's Gambit. I'm not sure if he has ever played it. But Swidler seems to be excellently prepared for this tournament, and he's got a couple of surprises in his bag, as it seems. Okay, e3 and b5. This looks a bit weird, I'm sure, because to some of the spectators here, because you're not supposed to cover this pawn in the Queen's Gambit, take it and hold it, but there are lines like this where this is in fact a viable strategy. You only need to return it at the right moment. a4, bishop to b7, and b3. So white is attacking the pawns, and now black is returning the pawn instantly. Takes, and white has got the pawn back. So what has happened here? We have an early opening here of the queen side. Black is quickly setting up his formation here. What I find really remarkable is the time spent here. Swidler only spent 10 minutes and Aronian only 20. So he's playing quickly, even after being surprised. I'm pretty sure that a6 must have come as a surprise to him, or this whole line. But it simply didn't show on the clock. He really seems to make an effort at not getting into time trouble, as is Carlsen. It's a very practical decision. You see both players, Aronian and Carlsen, constantly being ahead of the clock. Here it's okay, Aronian is 10 minutes short compared to Swidler, but he basically blitzed out his moves again. So Swidler obviously very well prepared. And look, there's a pawn hanging on a6, and Aronian grabbed it after some continuation. So Swidler had this pawn sacrifice figured out before, and we see that he's getting very quickly some pressure on the queen side. A bit similar to the Benko, and there's so much pressure on the queen side that you will get back the a pawn. And this frankly means that the whole position gets traded down. Yeah, and draw agreed. They need to make 30 moves until they can agree to a draw. Yeah, very dull game, but it's not great for the spectators. I understand, and I would have liked to see some fireworks as well. But just from a tournament point of view, this is excellent for Swidler. He basically got a draw with black against one of the big guys without probably thinking too much. I mean, he had all this prepared and just reaped his reward for working hard at home. This is what sometimes people don't appreciate. They say, okay, this is all done at home and so on, but you actually have to put in the hours to figure all this out. Of course, the computer is calculating for those guys, but you need to look at all the stuff these computers are are calculating and pick out the real interesting things and actually memorize them and put them into your head. It's really tough work, and this is really important, I guess, for Swidler to get this easy draw. He can try to push with white next round, and this is how you get your points in these events. So a good draw. I guess Aronian was simply surprised and didn't get anything, so wrap it up, make a draw. The next game, which is also not that interesting in comparison, we have two really interesting games. So here's two not so great and two really interesting games. Radjabov Kramnik here, and let's see, we get a Nimzo and the Rubinstein. Well, Kramnik plays more than one line in this opening, but he decided to go for the Karpov variation with b6, which is a very reliable way, of course, for black to play this. He's played this with both colors, also with white. For instance, he won one very important game in the World Championship match 2000 against Kasparov on the white side of this position. Maybe it is a bad omen if when Kasparov plays the Karpov variation as black. Okay, so we I put some more moves on the board. This has been played really often. Knight g4 is an interesting motif here, threatening mate on h2, or let's say take on f3 and then the mate on h2, and this provokes white to exchange those bishops. And frankly speaking, I really don't understand Radjabov's preparation here. I mean, it's really hard sometimes to understand. It's not like I'm in a position to criticize those players much. They are so immensely strong, but I really don't understand what he's doing in the preparation. If you play like this here, you know that Kramnik is going to play the Nimzo, and you know that this is a very possible setup that will come up, and then he's spending time. And here rook ac8, well, what is he doing? Like reinventing the theory. And right here, it's clear that black has absolutely no problems at all. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I mean, if you want to try to win some games, you better try with white, and this is basically giving half a point away, or at least not trying at all to get a win. So it's simply the problem is, how do you make any progress? What is white able to do in this position? There, you have to look at two things in a position. The first thing is pawn breaks. Well, pawn-wise, there's not much to do. White can go pawn to a5 and exchange on b6. This will make black very marginal weakness on b6. This is basically the only pawn move that you are going to do. d5 is unlikely to happen as it is so well protected. c5 gives up the d5 square. So with pawns, white cannot do much. Then you've got piece play, the other thing to try. Well, it's not a position for rooks exactly, and white could try to get knight to d6 or something, but how on earth are you going to manage that? This basically means this is a nothing position, and it simply didn't happen much. I mean, look at this, got a couple of exchanges, and as mentioned, white managed to get rid of his a pawn, but there's simply not happening much. Yeah, it's quite funny, this rook on d5. White never could take because c1 was hanging, but frankly, there's not happening anything in this position. And I didn't even see what happened after move 40. I guess they didn't do something too exciting. Yeah, no, they repeated moves here. So simply a kind of game where white didn't try at all to get some advantage. maybe he confused the move order or anything, and it was simply a nothing game. In a way, not easy probably to play. It's the tension, and you don't want to lose, and so on. Yeah, but it wasn't much to do to comment upon here. Okay, so 2 games left, and I'm going to start with Carlsen against Ivanchuk. Carlsen playing 1e4, not c4 like against Kramnik, where there was this quick draw, and we got a Berlin defense. Surprisingly, Ivanchuk is playing this okay, but I mean, he played it before, but it's not his main weapon against e4. Okay, Carlsen plays d3. He usually does that. He doesn't play the endgame, the Berlin Wall endgame. Bishop c5, c3, castles. Yeah, white cannot win a pawn like that, because d5 is really dangerous for white, opening up the position. Castles, d6. Yeah, and now white has a choice. He can take, and he can withdraw the bishop. And Carlsen decided to play it a very simple fashion, just taking, and now in the long run play on the pawn structure. Rook e1, rook e8, knight to d2. And now here's an interesting moment. Ivanchuk now decides to change the pawn structure with d5. After e takes d5, yeah, black needs to take with the queen, otherwise e5 is just falling. So something like this is just a pawn down for nothing. So he needed to take with the queen. And now we have an imbalance in this position, of course. Black's got 2 bishops, and he's got, space. Black has got, at the moment, a slight space advantage. But the problems in this position are he's got slightly weak e-pawn. It's a bit pressure on this pawn, and of course, in the long run, here the queenside pawns are weakness. So it's an interesting position. What I find interesting is how quickly now Carlsen activates his position. Queen knight to b3, bishop f8, all the way back. I guess he didn't want to allow something like this, that the bishops are immediately exchanged here. And now the interesting move c4. This is, a move justified basically by concrete calculation. The queen needs to go to d6, otherwise the pawn is gone. So queen d6 and bishop e3. And now white is threatening bishop c5. And this is a serious threat. If black goes for some nothing move, there's bishop c5, and next move white will capture e5 with a win, basically winning a central pawn for nothing. So this is really a threat. So black must play knight d7, and it's really remarkable. With 3 moves, white has activated his position enormously, and now d4 coming. Yeah, and here black has got a very fundamental choice. He went for e4, which I think is okay, but he also could have taken on d4. This, however, after queen d4, knight takes, leads to an endgame where those weaknesses can be tricky. A possible continuation here is, for example, c5, knight c6, rook e6, and knight to a5. And it's really difficult for black to untangle the pieces. Can go here, try something like this, but I think it's slightly annoying, this position, and I can perfectly understand that Ivanchuk didn't want to play this against Carlsen. And he played e4, which is perfectly alright, I think, but the continuation is maybe a problem that he played. Played a5, intending a4, and Carlsen just put a stop to that, a4, which also means that a5 is a possible point for attack. Yeah? The knight on b3 is already putting some pressure on this pawn. Here, in fact, I think maybe Ivanchuk played a move that leads him into trouble, and it's easy for me to say because I saw the post-game interview with Carlsen where he was asked, what do you think, what led to Black's trouble, and he said at this point he was very delighted to see the move f5. This is what Ivanchuk played. Instead, there is the move queen to g6, which I think Carlsen didn't mention. I tried to figure out myself what else should Black play, and queen g6 is a good move here. The idea is that you want to activate your pieces, knight f6, and maybe then initiate this kind of threat. This is, I guess, the move that Black should go for, with probably mutual chances. f5, as mentioned, was played, and now Carlsen, as he said in the interview, I get what I want. c5, attacking the queen, and I think here was the last point of the game where Black could maybe put up a real fight. It's really getting quickly downhill. It's amazing. He played queen to g6 now, one move too late if you want. Here I think still queen e6 was an interesting way to try, just for a moment covering this square so that knight c4 immediately is not possible, and the idea is to quickly get the knight to d5. Even if white attacks the pawn, you can consider to sacrifice this pawn. It's not a very strong pawn anyway. Something like this. I haven't worked this out in detail, but this is an idea, for example, something to get active play. After queen g6, the problem is white goes knight c4, and now you have big problems even to get in this move, because there's knight e5 also in the mix now. So white just got to c4 so much quicker in comparison, and I think now it's almost too late. The scary thing is that you say it's too late, and okay, you know that Magnus hardly lets anything slip, and it's really amazing. From now on, it's basically gone. Black never gets a chance to get back in the game, and he's doing this with very nice, simple but strong moves. Knight f6. Here, for example, white could just take on a5, but this maybe gives Black some chances to at least complicate matters. Let's say f4. This is not really great, but just have a look. Something like this Black could try, and at least this bishop is activated in some way. What he played, he just played bishop f4, and this is strong. Black has got all those weaknesses, and some of those weaknesses will fall, and this way there's simply no f4 move. This is just stopped, and after knight here, queen d2. Simple but very strong, just covering the bishop, and next move you will take a5. This is just very nicely played to keep the counterplay at bay. Bishop e6 now, and now is the point to to look at the clock. Ivanchuk is down to 4 minutes. He's really one of those time trouble addict guys, and there's no increment. Yeah, you need to remember that. So he needs to make 19 moves now in 4 minutes, which is in blitz terms not so much, but you need to play good moves as well. And Carlsen, look at this, he's got more than 1 hour 16 left, so he really played this quickly. Okay, now we can take a5, and Black played rook b8, and this intents some tricks. Knight e5, queen f6. Here's one trick. If you are a bit too quick here and play bishop g5, black has got the very funny move e3, cutting this connection between the two pieces. If you take on f6, black takes here, attacking the rook, and he wins material. Just a really bad blunder. What white needs to do is bishop e3 and then f4, and then this bishop is trapped, funny enough, and the position gets really messy. You don't want that. Bishop g5 is a real big mistake, but just drop it back. Really simple and strong. Keeps the bishop out of harm's way. And what is black supposed to do now? It's really not easy to give him any advice. What's funny though is the computer suggestion, which is completely ridiculous. The best move, according to even to Houdini, you don't really need to get to a bet engine, is queen h6. Mathematically the best move, but just as, of course, something which a human being never would consider, as this is just an automatic win for white, getting queens off and completely ruining your kingside pawn structure even. So this is complete nonsense. Where Grishuk took on a5, trying for some desperate counterplay. Queen a5, rook b2. So he sacrificed an exchange to trying to steer up some trouble, but it didn't materialize. Also due to very good defense. Rook b1, rook a2, you don't want to exchange, and now queen a6. It's not terribly difficult, but still strong. He wants to go rook e2, exchanging the rook and covering the second rank. This is relevant immediately. e3 takes, queen g5, and black is threatening checkmate. And now you have rook e2. This was the whole idea. So very nicely defended. If knight c3, which at first looks a bit dangerous, forking here, can take here, queen takes, and this is just holding for white. Nothing happening really. So he went knight e3, relatively best chance, and now knight f3. This was the last important move that really wins the game. The queen is attacked, needs to go back, and now you can simply take on a2, and with rook b2 cover g2. So this pretty much decided the issue. The thing is, well, black dropped back here. The thing is, black is attacking with queen and two minor pieces, while the f8 bishop is basically dead. And what is white doing? He's defending with two minor pieces and the queen, but he's got an extra rook basically, so this attack can never really lead to anything. Bishop to d5, and now the queen dropped back, attacking e3. So with all forces back near the king, the attack is easily diffused. Yeah, rook c2, and here Grishuk resigned. If you look at the clocks, it's looking like he lost some time, but it's not the case. He really he still managed to resign the game. He's an exchange down, and it's completely hopeless. There's also the a pawn, so certainly okay to resign. Look that Carlsen really used some time at the end. He really wanted to make sure to wrap this game up in convincing fashion, and I think he really managed. So an important win. He's now even with Aronian with +2 after 4 rounds. And one thing I watched in a brief interview with Kramnik, I think after round 1 or round 2, I'm not sure, where he stated that he's expecting that a +4 score would be enough to win it outright, the tournament, and maybe even +3 would be good enough for tie breaks. and well, I beg to differ. I think there will be at least +5 needed to win this, maybe even more. Carlsen is already in +2, and the way he's playing, I don't know. And Aronian is also quite in good shape, so I think there's at least +4, +5 needed to win this event. Okay, so but there's still one game left, and this is Gelfand Ivanchuk. I don't really want to go so much into the opening here, only mentioning that Ivanchuk is going for the Chigorin defense, which somehow I had I don't know, when I saw this, I mean, he lost 2 games now, and he's one of those people, if something's going wrong, there's the chance of a total meltdown. And the Chigorin is really a little bit of a dubious opening. It's not like completely wrong or bad or something, but it's a bit shaky. And I don't know, I had a bad feeling when I saw this, but it led to interesting play. Let's put it this way. Gelfand played a relatively quiet setup against this, but a good setup, something that can be recommended if you don't want to go into something sharp. So we have a rather typical position for this opening, where black has surrendered the bishop pair and has got some active knights in return. So both sides castled long. Knight e4. So I'll put this on the board rather quickly. It's pretty much logical. Yeah, here an interesting way to play. Gelfand played f4. A really strange looking move. At first you you wonder what was he thinking. Probably his intention is to reroute the bishop at some point and then play f3, e4. Very, very long term. Otherwise it looks really strange to put the bishop on h2. I mean, he's aware that this is a bad piece, but he wants to use it later. Okay, f5 by Ivanchuk, making sure that the f pawn is not moving. Knight g5, knight a5, rook c8. So queen d2 now. So here it comes. Bishop e4, queen e3, and here Ivanchuk really went for some amazing concept, which is just showing that okay, he's maybe very bad at time management in this tournament, but he's still a real genius at the board. He played c5 now. Okay, nothing spectacular at first, but have a look. Takes, and now Gelfand played e4. And well, what is black supposed to do? If you move the knight, you just lose a piece, right? This is easy. What happens if you take on e4? There's knight e4, the rook is hanging, and if the rook moves, there's f5, and black is completely exploding. So yeah, what about black here? Is he lost? No. Played rook c8, and this was all planned with c5. He just lets this piece hang, and white now, of course, could have taken this this piece. What is happening after the capture? Takes, rook takes, and now the queen is saying, this didn't happen, it's just a possible line. The queen is saying, where is this supposed to go? It only has got 2 squares, e3, e3 and f3. Queen e3 is relatively easy to dismiss. There's knight c4, and you cannot take this piece because here black wins very easily. And after a queen move, let's say here, there's knight d2 coming, and this is a disaster. Black is just winning outright here with this active pieces. So queen e3 is just not on. So queen f3. What's happening here? And the amazing thing is, have a look. Takes. takes, and we have a mate to come. This is with queen e3, but queen f3. This is the real deal. But you have seen an important motif here. What is black supposed to do here? Takes, takes, and now the amazing point. Black can sack the queen and play knight c4. And now we have this threat: queen d, knight d2 check, king a1, and rook c1 mate. So the same idea that we saw before is on again, and it's white's move. Have a look. There's no way to prevent this except for giving up the queen. There's also knight d2 threatening winning the queen. So white has no move. He just needs to do something like this. Queen moves, knight d2, and return the queen for a minor piece, so that we have this kind of endgame on the board, which is probably roughly equal. You could analyze this further, but it's roughly equal. Yeah, this is one of the most amazing lines that I saw recently. This position where black is down a rook for queen and bishop. Amazing, and it's still perfectly alright for black. So yeah, taking on d5 would have led to this endgame. The funny thing is, white probably needs to do that. What he did, because black is also threatening some things here, rook c2 and so on, he played rook c1, and this led to big trouble. Knight c4, intending knight d2, and yeah, here white has no alternative. He needs to sack on c4, this exchange, and now take on d5. And here the problem is Ivanchuk's clock again. He's on 3 minutes and 20 seconds here, and in this position black could have won the game with rook c2. This would have been very strong. One point being, if white tries to kick the bishop here with a3, black can sacrifice this, as this is leading to a win with rook to c3, one of the big points. But this is easy to point out for me. I've got time, I've got a computer to check all this. Ivanchuk was down on 3 minutes, and he figured out something else. He saw that after takes with the pawn, queen b3, look, this is hanging, and this bishop is also liability, that there's queen c6, with the idea takes, and now attacking this rook. So white needs to take care about this. This means this bishop is not really hanging. So he figured this out, with which is really great, in 3 minutes. So Gelfand needed to go here. Needed to cover this, no other way. And now queen b5. And this is really interesting. This is really adequate compensation for the piece. Amazingly, the computer gives a simple 0-0-0, because he also anticipates the coming moves. Yeah, black's got this c3 counterplay, and look at those pieces, they don't help, especially this monster pawn on h2. This is not really contributing to anything here. So this c3 is a big threat. Queen e2 was played to prevent that. Rook e8, gaining a tempo. Queen c2, and now c3. Ivanchuk now has got 10 moves left to make, and is down on 1 minute 15 seconds. But the big problem is there's this threat, and what is white supposed to do about that? It's really scary for white. And Gelfand looked at this for a couple of minutes. He was down to 6 minutes, and then decided to wrap this up to a draw. I really understand that he didn't want to see any more of this, because of course you are always tempted to somehow play on time if the opponent is down so low. But the problem is that Black is able to make all those active aggressive moves, and it's much easier to make those kind of forward moves than playing some tidy or difficult defense. If you try to play for a win here, you really risk a lot. The computer, to avoid the immediate draw, wants to play something like a4, just to put it on the board. It wants to play something like this. It even claims a draw here with the later perpetual, but look at this. This is very scary for white. It seems that you can play queen d1, and then I don't know, it still gives a draw, but who wants to try that? It's very easy to lose the game in this way. So I understand that Gelfand didn't want to do anything of that. He just took on c3, and after bishop c3, this is a perpetual check. Queen b3, queen d3, and so on. White can lose if he wants to. Can play this move, and then there's the very strong bishop d2 check. Quite a flashy move, but very strong. King takes is very easy, and if the queen takes, you can give this check. Queen b1, rook e8, and Black wins the house. This is even a direct mate. Yeah, so a draw. I think a deserved draw at the end. And a shame that Ivanchuk's really great concept here with this hanging knight on d5 wasn't crowned in this position instead of taking on d5 this rook c2 idea. But with 3 minutes, it's very difficult. So again, an interesting round. We had two really exciting games, interesting games. Yeah, next round is tomorrow, 5th round, with Carlsen playing Ivanchuk, and we see that while Ivanchuk is a very unsteady player, he's playing interesting chess, so we can expect an interesting game tomorrow. Let's hope that Ivanchuk's not going for some dull line as white, but trying to do something. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another video for round 5. Bye.